Something remarkable just happened at the Paris Olympics. For the first time in 64 years, Team USA lost the men's 4x100 swim medley, and to the shock of many Americans, it was Team China, powered by its new swimming superstar, Pan Jianle, who prevailed for the gold medal. But before Pan could even get out of the pool, allegations of doping and cheating were immediately being thrown against Team China. But there is a much larger story unfolding, and it is highlighted in this article from the BBC entitled "Why the World's Anti-Doping Agency Feels Stuck Between the US and China." This article is quite extraordinary because the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, is on the record telling the BBC that certain individuals in the US are attempting to score political points purely on the basis that the athletes in question are Chinese. The result is that it has created distrust and division within the anti-doping system. Now, the Olympics is supposed to be the one event that brings together the world, a chance to put aside political differences and focus purely on sport. But politics have always been mixed into the Olympics. And with the rising geopolitical tensions between the US and China, it's no surprise that this intense rivalry is now being amplified amongst the athletes during these games. But do these allegations against Team China have any merit? Did China actually cheat during these games? Well, it's important to always look at the data. So let's start with this article from the South China Morning Post, which clearly states that Chinese athletes faced increased testing before the Paris Games. But just how much extra testing did Chinese swimmers receive? Well, according to the data from World Aquatics, Team USA sent a total of 46 swimmers and averaged a total of 6 tests per swimmer, while Team China sent a delegation of 31 swimmers and averaged a total of 21 tests per swimmer. For Team China to be tested 4 to 5 times more than every other nation is insane. Chinese athletes are tested the most often of any country in the world and have the least amount of doping cases. Just look at this chart, which reveals that US athletes actually have a higher doping percentage than their Chinese counterparts. What's most incredible about this chart is the frequency of tests. After 6,700 tests, US athletes were caught doping 1.2% of the time, while after 19,000 tests, Chinese athletes were caught doping just 0.2% of the time. But it seems the performance of Chinese athletes during this year's Olympics is not sitting well with members of the US Congress, who earlier last week announced a bill to cut funding to the World Anti-Doping Agency, accusing it of failing to properly investigate alleged doping by Chinese Olympic swimmers. But once again, WADA has issued a powerful statement that reveals the truth behind these US politicians and their motives. When members of Congress and senators are inserting themselves into the largely technical world of anti-doping, it ceases to be about scientific and legal analysis, and it drifts into the political realm. Instead of adhering to the values of the Olympic Games as a form of honest international competition, US politicians have chosen to make the Games yet another political arena to sow division and discredit Chinese achievements. In fact, you might have seen some of the propaganda from US media outlets, like this article from NBC News, which claims that China sent 11 doping swimmers to the Paris Olympics. What's most sad about this article is the majority of Americans only read headlines, and as a result, will jump to the conclusion that Chinese athletes are doping. However, if you do your proper research, you'll find that the World Anti-Doping Agency launched an entire investigation against the Chinese athletes in question and cleared them of any wrongdoing. The Chinese swimmers were exposed to less than a trillionth, that's trillionth with a T, of a banned substance that was found in contaminated meat the athletes consumed. I'll link the full report down in the description below for you to read, but the sad truth is that US politicians are playing with fire, and they might end up getting burned. As Dick Pound, former senior International Olympic Committee member, says the United States is at risk of losing both the 2028 Summer and 2034 Winter Olympics if American law enforcement overreaches in its investigation of Chinese swimmers. Wow, this is a shocking development and shows you just how far the United States' political rivalry with China has now embedded itself directly in these Olympics. If Los Angeles loses the 2028 Summer Olympics because of US politicians' overreach, it would be the ultimate loss of face for the United States, and once again, it's completely unnecessary, as Chinese athletes have been tested for doping more than any other nation during these games. But once again, when you dig a little deeper into the story, you'll find the true cause of all this contempt and mistreatment towards Chinese athletes is simply pure jealousy. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. Upon finishing 4th in the team medley, British swimmer Adam Peaty immediately accused Team China of cheating and publicly stated he wanted these Chinese swimmers kicked out of the Olympics. Again, let's not forget that Chinese athletes are the most drug-tested athletes in the world. But it gets even more wild. When Chinese swimmer Pan Zhanle beat his own world record at the 100-meter freestyle race, Australian swimming coach Brett Hawke claimed the swim by the Chinese athlete was not humanly possible. Here is the Australian coach's exact words. "I'm upset right now because you don't win a 100-meter freestyle by a body length on that field. You just don't do it. It is not humanly possible to beat that field by a body length. I don't care what you say." To be honest, this is just a poor attitude from the Australian coach, who was bitter that his superstar swimmer Kyle Chalmers finished second and only took home the silver medal. But the most fascinating thing about this race is the simple fact that China's Pan Zhanle entered the race as the overwhelming favorite to win the gold medal. It's not like Pan is some unknown swimmer who came out of nowhere. Pan entered this Olympic race as the current world record holder, setting this new world record back in February 2024 at the World Aquatics Championships in Doha, Qatar. Since that win, Pan has undergone more drug testing than any other swimmer in the world, passed every single test, and has broken the 47-second barrier more than any other swimmer in history, a total of 4 times in his career. But sadly, it seems several athletes are just going to treat the Chinese rudely no matter how big the stage. Check out this video of French swimmer Léon Marchand, who decided to snub a handshake from the Chinese swim coach on his way to the podium. Marchand has been a local hero for the French and one of the most popular athletes during these games. But this type of behavior is beneath a gold medalist and flat out just bad sportsmanship. But if you really want to know the reason why Pan Zhanle had extra motivation and broke this new world record, just listen to him in his own words describe the behavior that both American and Australian swimmers displayed to him before the race.
4乘1自己游完以后，我在下面跟查尔莫斯打招呼，他一点都不理我。包括美国队的阿雷克，我们训练的时候，教练在岸上，他那种滚翻直接往教练身上溅水花，就是感觉有点看不起我们那种样子，能说吗？没关系，想说什么？真的，今天终于把他们所有人都拿下了，而且在这么难游的池子里打破世界纪录，真是非常好的一个表现。
是怎么做到的？
憋着一口气吧，再加上我们国家这么多人，所有人的希望，在我下水的前一刻，我感受到了。
My favorite part of that interview was Pan's humbleness. Even after describing the poor treatment he received from his fellow competitors, Pan asked the interviewer, "Am I allowed to say that?" Which the interviewer replied, "Of course, you can say whatever you want." It's a mature response from Pan, but even other Chinese athletes are beginning to speak out and not afraid to call out what they feel is different treatment based on the simple fact that they are Chinese.
From some people around the world that his swim was impossible, not possible for somebody to do.
至于他有没有用药，兴奋剂检测可以给出一个明白的指示。那为什么中国运动员游这么快的时候要被质疑？相信他在昨天以及入村之前这一周都没有断过兴奋剂检测。那至于他为什么能游这么快，那可能只有他的教练和他自己才能知道了。那在此之前，伟大的运动员菲尔普斯他拿到8块金牌的时候，那为什么没有人敢去质疑他？莱德基运动员从2012年到2024年称霸了这么多年的长距离，每届都有金牌入账，那为什么没有人去质疑莱德基呢？
That was Chinese swimmer Zhang Yufei, who won the most medals of any competing swimmer in the 2024 Paris Olympics, with a total count of 5 bronze and 1 silver medal. In conclusion, this has been a fantastic Olympics for both Team USA, Team China, and many nations around the world. It's just sad that geopolitical issues between nations have found their way into a sporting event that is designed to bring the world together. But that is the world that we live in and why we discuss geopolitics on this channel. Because whether you like it or not, geopolitics plays a crucial role in each and every one of our lives. Everyone, as always, I want to thank you for your incredible support, and it's now time to hear what you think of this year's Olympics. Drop me a comment down below and let me know what your favorite memory of 2024 Paris has been so far. As always, thank you for giving me your time, and I can't wait to see you in our next video soon.